this computer. All right, we're rocking and rolling. So once again, thank you everyone for joining in for this APHPT Town Hall. I just minimized the camera so I can't see you all, but if you have any comments you want to chime in, please don't hesitate to just mic up. If you want to raise your hand or type something in the chat, I should get the notification for that as well. So that's fine, but this isn't meant to be, super formal. We're all friends here and know each other well. And I'm hoping that as this, first slide depicts here, if anyone went to Rising Tide in New Mexico, maybe you were hanging out by the campfire late at night. I think it was on either Friday or Saturday night. And we kind of had an intimate moment at one point as an early on APHPT community where people were going around the circle and kind of sharing their takeaways from the experience, or just sharing really anything they wanted to, maybe some struggles that they were having professionally or even personally. And, the whole group was kind of just there to rally around and support one another. And so, as APHPT is kind of like, I feel like at this evolutionary point in our journey where I think we're recognizing as a team behind the scenes that the resources we have to continue the way that we have been are continuing to run thin. And we need to make some changes to continue to serve you all. I want to just, up front say APHPT isn't going away. It's not ending. That's not our intention here. But we do want to kind of reflect a little bit today on where we've been, share some fun stories, share some, honest dialogue too about maybe things that you wish you would have seen from the organization or things you'd like to see moving forward. And then I'll share at the end what our small internal team has come up with, some initial steps that we plan to take moving forward. But we definitely want member input about what you all envision for the future as well, so that we can make sure that this has always been a member-led organization. And so, again, your input's highly valued, and I appreciate you carving out the time to join tonight. So this is a fireside chat and moving forward into the future. So starting out with our survey says, we'll go through some of the responses I got from the feedback I put out the survey I put out on Slack. Just a couple questions about, people's experience and memories with APHPT, and one logistical question I had for folks too. I'll review some of that, and then we'll kind of open up the discussion from there. So that being said, here's what the survey said. So I asked the question about what were some of your favorite memories being an APHPT member. And this is not meant to be all encompassing, because it's not. There's a lot more, events that happen beyond what's on the slide here. But these are some of the things that people mention, and anything that's asterisked were mentioned at least twice within the survey responses. So we had about 10 people respond to the survey. And so these are some of the things people said. Rising Tide, I happen to mention that one. I'm the only one who mentioned the Teddy. I don't know if anyone remembers the Teddy, but that was one of Mike's, the mad scientist crazy challenges he put out in 2018 when I was doing my residency with Proactivity. I see the chat buzzing, so I'm going to open that up real quick. And the Teddy, now that I think of it, was really my first ultra marathon, recovering 50 miles over the course of a weekend. And Allie says yes. Allie and I, we covered the marathon distance pretty much in tandem on that Sunday, and ran out of water, and we're knocking on random people's doors in Hunterdon County begging for water at one point. So it was quite the journey. And then Pat Burner, I think he took, probably at least 12 hours to finish that marathon. He came, but credit to him for sticking it out. He came to hobbling into base camp around 5 p.m. that Sunday night, and probably had to get on a flight that evening. So it was just a really cool, I think, example of, how people can take a crazy idea and be motivated enough to take some insane action towards it, right? And I think that's what APHPT has always been about. The Teddy's one kind of eccentric example of that. But there's many more impactful things that have, its legacy has lasted far beyond our fun little Teddy. Another one would be Summer of Move. And I think, speaking of like legacy movements, that one to me resonates a lot. Several people have mentioned Summer of Move as one of their favorite memories, myself included. Since the first Summer of Move that Mike led, I was just super into it. I found it super fun. I loved the competitive nature, but I also loved how the mad scientists found a way to take competition and somehow get camaraderie out of it. And it was just a really fun, special thing that eventually kind of, cultivated or allowed me to eventually lead a version of that called Stronger, Happier US a few summers later during COVID. Book jams was probably the most commonly mentioned memory within the survey. Shout out to Megan Doyle, shout out to Connie, shout out to Ed, shout out, I think Perry's led book jams. Many of you have led book jams throughout our history, and they've always been super engaging. I've learned a ton from them. We've had a couple this year as well, and greatly appreciate everyone's efforts with those. And then the PT health study, I think one of the most, how would I say, I don't know, I guess bold things I've ever seen a team of physical therapists take on is, being faced with the daunting nature of COVID. There was a lot of, just uncertainty and pessimism, I think, within the world at that point. And our community found a way to create something positive out of it, leveraging our expertise and leveraging, pretty new technology, using the Garmin devices and the dashboard that, the APHPT and Proactivity team had created. So that was super cool to be a part of. Many people mentioned PT Health Study as one of their favorite memories, as well as the most meaningful engagement project that we'll get to here shortly. And then this one, I have to ask who put this in. I think it was probably Perry. I didn't put names on the survey, so it's all anonymous. But does anyone know who put inviting themselves to Mike? Okay, it was Perry. Perry, do you feel like miking up and adding any context to that? You invited yourself to Mike's house. I love it.
Yeah, like it was kind of early on.
Uh-huh.
We were doing everything online.
Mm-hmm.
And in true Southern style, I was like, I'm coming to your house.
I love it.
I swear, I don't even think he told Lindsay. Like, we all just
Just
showed
showed up.
up. Allie came. We had that whiteboard and we kind of figured out, I think we figured out workplace is what we did that weekend. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Can't beat it.
Great memory. All right. The next one were most meaningful projects. So a lot of overlap here, obviously, but for this one, I meant it to be a little bit, maybe not necessarily an engaging sort of like fun experience, if you will, where like entertainment wasn't the focus of it, but productivity. There was some sort of outcome that we were chasing after was sort of the purpose of it. But of course, when the APHPT community gets around, we tend to, we can't help but have fun, right? So we tend to mix, our passion with and purpose with a sense of joy. And so there's naturally a lot of overlap here. So Rising Tide is, of course, mentioned again. Summer of Move again. Total Lifestyle Therapy course. I will give a nod to that as well. I was a student of Megan and Jeremy's course. I absolutely loved it. I still utilize those concepts every day. I still think that motivational interviewing is like one of the most important skills that therapists can hone, and one that I'm still feel like a very much a novice in, and something that I try to get better at. And that course, it was developed, I think, kind of towards the point within APHPT's journey when ICE eventually kind of went a different route. Which is unfortunate because that course, I think, deserves to be seen by so many more people. But I just want to give a big shout out to Megan for your efforts in putting that together with Jeremy. I know Colin Rust and I were two of the students that took it together very early on, and him and I still talk about it. So thank you for that. Book jams is mentioned again. And then we have PT Health Study, once again, other collaborative projects. One such project would be the Health Behavior Assessment Launchpad. I was kind of a later team member joining in on that project. I know Allie was involved with that from the get-go. And, you know, that tool is still utilized by clinicians across the country. And I know that Allie uses it in her curriculum or her wellness course that she teaches at Winston-Salem University. So yeah, just really, really cool things. And this isn't by any means, again, an all-encompassing list. I put together some honorable mentions that didn't make it to the survey, but I think deserve some shout outs. And again, there's even more beyond this. But one such thing would be Operation Mist. I think that's probably the most impactful and impressive way that I've seen the Scissors platform utilized to date. I love that that project is still going on and, you know, was kind of empowered through the APHPT incubator kind of seed grants funding, and then also empowered by the Scissors dashboard. And I know, Perry, you had a role in teaching, I think, the operators of MIST how to utilize that data. So kudos for the entire team's efforts in making that happen. And I know that they're still doing that work. I think about all the do demonstrations, if you will, at CSM. One of them or two of them I have pictures of here. I have to keep moving things around my screen. I don't think you guys can see the chat I have pulled up and everyone's faces, but hopefully you just see the PowerPoint. But we've got a picture of Climb DC and a picture of the marching band from New Orleans from our do demonstration projects. And there was other things we've done at CSM besides that. You know, multiple team members or APHPT members have presented at CSM. I know Connie's done presentations about Book Jam at CSM. Yeah, there's been a lot of involvement there. I mentioned earlier, this is maybe a selfish one, but the Stronger, Happier US, when I think back professionally about some of the things that I've done, that is one thing that I'm most proud of. It felt like a really daunting thing to take on and put it out there and hope that people would join. And I was blown away by the amount of people that did join. We had over 200 people or so join. And it really challenged me to think creatively about how to create a a really collaborative experience while having this competitive edge. So you have to, you know, appeal to all fitness levels and leverage other people's skill set beyond exercise. Like, how can you create creative challenges, or maybe I could create a fuel challenge in there, and how do I keep people guessing, and how do I help the bottom teams level up so that they don't feel totally disengaged as they start to fall behind, and all those things that I've seen Mike do in Summer of Move, having to do that, you know, behind the scenes as the person leading that experience. It's a lot. It's a lot. And but hearing people get so much from it, hearing that friendships were formed from it, from people who had never known each other before, was really, really meaningful for me, and just a period of my professional journey where I feel like I grew a lot. So, along those same lines, the Misogi Book Jam, led by Ed, he tapped me on the shoulder to create a challenge from that book jam. That was really, really fun. Great engagement there as well. Thank you to Perry for the connection to APTA of Georgia for our collaborative webinar series we did a couple years ago, where we talked all about the elements to physical therapists in Georgia. And then multiple people or members of APHPT have done guest lectures at DPT schools. I know, again, Allie has done that at her alma mater. Mike has passed on opportunities that he's received to me, and I've done a few now. And I know many of us here have done that, and people outside of here too. Mark Rubenstein comes to mind. I know he does one at Keene University every year. So it's just really, really cool that APHPT continues to spread our message. And I just thought of one more, in addition, along the same lines of DPT lectures. Rupal Patel, a APHPT member and also a faculty at Texas Women's University. She brings on several APHPT members on a panel to talk to her students once a year. And I've done that for the past few years. And this past year was really, really cool because there were several people on that panel who mentioned APHPT without me asking them at all, obviously, to do so. But it just goes to show that APHPT has made a real impact in terms of the professional trajectory of physical therapists' lives across the country. And that impact continues to spread now to students, entering into the profession. So just really cool to kind of reflect back on where we've been. And now it's time to kind of talk about where we're headed. So I guess before we get there, my camera just went dead. I have no idea why, but we're not going to worry about that now. In terms of the most valuable resources that people have shared, or what people said were the most valuable resources that they've had access to as an APHPT member. This is a screenshot of the Google survey. So the CERT course was number one. 7 people said that was the most valuable, and you could have selected multiple choices here. So CERT course was one. It's funny, we actually we'll see if we can bring back the CERT course in one form or fashion. Every now and then we get inquiries from people wanting to take it, or maybe people wanting to host it, and don't count it out. Obviously, if anything comes to fruition in the future, you all will be the first to know. Excuse me. But for now, the CERT course is still something that many of us have gone through and that we've all really benefited from and continue to layer into our practice. The intro course is still available for members. That is now a free member benefit. Well, I should say not necessarily free. You have to be a member, but you can take that at your leisure, and all members gain access to that. That was a change we made this year, rather than have it be, a separate fee. And it's a self-paced course now that we updated a couple of years ago. The archives and assets was number 2 on the list. I think the challenge with that one is organizing it in a way that is accessible to people. And I did ask a question in the Google survey about that. And long story short, Google Drive was everyone's least favorite option of organization, mine as well. So I'm going to do my best to try to learn Wix and figure out how I can upload things to the aphpt.org website in a way that is maybe there's a member only feature to the website where things are more easily organized, and you all can still access that stuff. It is also, there's an archives and assets group on Slack. But I don't know how easy that is to navigate. But there is a group there where a lot of those files, Ryan downloaded them and re-uploaded them. So just know that's still there on Slack. And then coming in third, we have, scissors, the CERT course. I'm sorry, not the CERT course, scissors, and private forums for discussion. So basically, workplace and the Slack channel that we now have. Health behavior survey was mentioned. And then likely people who completed the survey were not grant recipients, but I'm sure that would have been an option, had a grant recipient completed it. So long story short, we've put a lot of effort into trying to cultivate and develop some resources for members. It's really nice to know that the effort's been worthwhile and that you all are still deeming those valuable. And now I feel like the challenge is on us to just continue to make those available in perhaps an even more easily accessible way, and continue to have a place where APHPT members can communicate with one another and gain inspiration and ideas from one another, and ultimately continue to do great work. All right, so now's the time where I shut up and pass the mic a little bit, or if you were in New Mexico, we were passing around a tequila bottle around the campfire, if memory serves correctly. But if there's anything I haven't mentioned yet in the presentation, if you want to mic up and share your favorite memory, or just share any anecdotes about how APHPT has helped you, or what you see is the best way that APHPT can evolve moving forward, I'm all ears. I'm going to take notes, and yeah, I'll just open up the floor.
I guess I'll just kick off and say that I feel like I have a tremendous amount that I owe to APHPT. I mean, I took the cert course on kind of a very much a whim, not even sure if students were allowed, and felt extremely inspired for the first time. And what had been my short exposure to physical therapy. I was only halfway through PT school. Um, got involved in the organization early, learned a tremendous amount working, under Mike's leadership and closely alongside Perry. I feel like they both and my involvement in APHPT taught me a tremendous amount of just how to be a member of it, a contributing member of an organization, how to grow into a leader, and then ultimately provided me an opportunity to find my passion and ultimately a career that I love, with productivity. So I've got, I really appreciate all the effort you put into this, Aaron, because it's fun to think back, on just how many incredible memories that are really rooted in this organization and all the incredible work that's been done and how many laughs we've had along the way, but also how many valuable lessons I personally have learned, um, that have been truly a huge piece of the person and the professional that I've grown into.
I would echo what Ella just said and add that APHPT to me restoked my love and of physical therapy and almost saved my career in a way that I was very down about the physical therapy profession and wasn't sure where we were headed as a profession, wasn't sure where I wanted to go, and stumbled upon this fantastic group of people who inspired me and energized me and really challenged me to think and practice in a different way. And, I came into the group, I think a little bit later because it was certainly before COVID. So it was probably the first summer of Move, which was amazing. And the summer of Move, for like, I blame summer of Move for for increasing the osteoarthritis I have in my knee from all the challenges that came of that and trying to run distances I never should have been running because I am not a runner. And I just got into the competitive, atmosphere of it all. And yeah, I think I ruined my knee over that, but it's okay. It was worth it. It was already on the fritz anyway. But that was my first introduction to the group. And I went through the intro course and the cert course and meeting all of you, being inspired by you, Mike, and of course you, Perry, and the relationship that I have formed here and the network opportunities that have also opened up as a result of being a member of this group, being part of the PT Health Study, meeting the people that we've met. This is the cream of the crop and the future of therapy. I think APHPT was the catalyst for improving how we think and act as professional physical therapists and really help to elevate the profession as a whole. So I could go on. I have a lot of just wonderful, great memories, and I just want to thank Mike and Perry and Aaron and Allie, and I mean you all have played a part in my inspiration. So yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Stephanie. Anyone else?
I'll just jump in and add the baby's asleep now, so I can actually talk. I'll add that I spoke at our state conference this past week on doing prevention work and kind of introing the idea. And the many people who came to speak to me after are like students and people early in the career, and I feel like it just continues to reaffirm like the resources within these group, even stuff as simple as like the health behaviors assessment, things like that, giving people a framework, like all those things are super needed still. Like I feel like there's still not a good place for that stuff in a group of people who are using that stuff. So just to say, like, I don't know, kind of confirmed what I maybe had forgotten, since I've been kind of uh, doing the work for a little longer, but I, you know, having conversations like that, people are like, where do I find people who are doing this stuff? So I think it's very necessary to continue to find ways to get people to it.
Totally. I think it's easy for us to take it for granted when we're so in the weeds of it, but most people don't even know that it exists. So good to keep that perspective. Anyone else?
I'd like to share. I'm sorry I came on late. I had this on my calendar and then I forgot about it. But for me, a PHPT is very affirming because I have worked most of my career for large institutions, and it is hard to think outside of the box and do anything differently. And when you have a lot of ideas, Perry was so helpful, helping me formulate my Fit for Work course that I continue to teach and share. I've evolved a lot as a speaker, like a public speaker, but also professionally. I've been doing a lot of work in the area of mental health. And, I think that having the support of people who are completely in a different area of practice than me, but hold the same values, and so many of the same ideas, they do go across different practice settings. And so I have really valued my relationship with APHPT, and it's really helped me to evolve differently. And I also think that it's really helped me to help a lot of people that I wouldn't have had a chance to otherwise. So I'm very thankful for all of the good community that we have here.
Thank you, Connie. And thank you for joining tonight too. You might have missed a couple of shout outs I gave you earlier about Book Jam. That was by far the most commonly mentioned favorite memory of APHPT members. And I know you had a huge role in that, and you've talked about it at CSM. So you're a really crucial leader within our organization. So just thank you for all your efforts.
Yeah, I want to go next because also I'd shared with Erin that I know I'm a couple hours behind most of this group, but still have other things going on this evening. It's wild to think about where my origin story started. I'm still very proud of the fact that I tried to push us to think more multi-interdisciplinary as our OT. And I give it credit to, I wish he was still involved. I know he is in spirit. Matt McLean went through the CERT course. Thank you, Perry. Yes, it's what I do. It is my life. It has always been my life. It still is right now. Matt McLean and I still keep in close touch, but this was when I was still working in a clinic in El Paso, Texas. And he was the one that helped me get into, doing the therapeutic pain specialist certification through Evidence in Motion and then the fellowship. But my heart and really what drew me to occupational therapy was the focus on holism and lifestyle. And so then for him to tell me about the CERT course, I was like, of course I'm going to do that next. And, thankfully was able to do that. And that just inspired this desire to remain in this group. And so there's been times where I've had to back off a little bit. I'm grateful that my current reign as our Idaho OT Association president is about to be done in 32 days, but who's counting? I've been on the board for like 5-6 years.
Wow.
So, I'm excited to be able to stay with this group. I've wanted to keep it as a touchstone because it's that emphasis on not just a fundamentally different way to care. I think hearing everybody's journeys, there's definitely still the element of like the day-to-day, whether that's a clinical care setting or just that one-on-one, like N of one, But I think what drew us together and what keeps me in this group is that desire to continue to think really big, really systems change, population. My big passion is, of course, pain and pain care, but recognizing that all 5 elements transcend in that, talking about that to people on a routine basis. I love that I had that ability when Jeremy was still here to do the total lifestyle therapist. If that could get reiterated, we still have all of it. It's all sitting here. I have all of it. That's not gone. So it's those types of things. I will say, and I'm sure we're all feeling it, it's so unfortunate that there just really wasn't a choice to have to pivot from the workplace and what we had before. I will admit that it seems as though Slack just isn't as responsive. Like there just seems like there's a big drop off, and it's me just stating a fact, right? It's like not in anyone's fault. Like I'm trying to keep up with it, and I was always one that liked to use the app. I've never accessed it through like a desktop. I've always done the app, even with Workplace, and I feel like the notifications were just better. So I'm like having to make a lot of an effort, and I want to, like I keep doing it. It's just not as much on my radar as it once was. So that's just the feedback. It is what it is. But, you know, I want to be here to support this group, and I still want to get more interdisciplinary. You know, that's still a big goal. And it's another reason that keeps me around. And not that I want to backfill the time that's about to open up, because somewhere my husband's screaming, no, don't let her do it. But, I always have to have projects, and, you know, this group is like staying on my radar for a reason. So, you know, when Aaron had asked me to make sure I came on, I had said I was already planning on it, and I want to continue to be here and support. I think we do have to continue to get creative to make sure that it's still serving the purpose that it intends.
I agree. Thank you so much, Megan, for carving out the time tonight, and for everything you've done for the organization, all the energy you put into it. When you always have a lot of plates spinning, as you and I have talked about.
Take down the plates.
Many times. And I appreciate that you continue to keep the APHPT plate spinning in your world. I agree. I think the Slack, in full transparency, Slack is free for us to utilize, which is one of the best benefits of Slack, is that we're a very lean organization, and we kind of need, if it's free, it's for us kind of a thing. But at the same time, there might be other options that are within the budget that we could look into. Back when we were transitioning to Slack, it was either that or Facebook groups, and most people had said Slack, but I'll have to look into what other options there might be. And I also think, I also have not done a great job of keeping up with Slack. It's also a new app for me. As the director of APHPT, I take ownership of trying to put some stuff out in the group to foster consistent engagement, and I haven't done a consistent job of that. So it's on my radar to do a better job moving forward. And I appreciate just the candid feedback and everything that you've done for us, Megan. All right. Anyone else want to share before we get into the next part? Looks like Meredith, you're micing up.
Yeah, I'll kind of just like echo some of the sentiments that's already been said for the APHPT. Kind of came at a like pretty pivotal point in my career where I was just like knew that, maybe full-time clinic work or wasn't necessarily kind of scratching the itch for me anymore. And I was, just needing some mental stimulation, and that's kind of where I think I talked to Mike at one point, and then jumped into the CERT course. And then the biggest like thing I dove into really was PT health study, and found that it's just such a great group of people and just so engaging, and that to find that new fire for the profession and being able to apply it in different ways, and has definitely helped shape kind of the future trajectory of my career, and where things have gone. So yeah, super grateful for that, and definitely would like to see things continue. I think, if there was ever a resurrection of the CERT course, I think that'd be fantastic. I know it was super impactful for me, and think a lot of younger clinicians would say the same thing. Or, a PT health study 2.0. I think we could maybe revamp and get it back together. But yeah, no, it's been super fun, and I've always enjoyed all the conversations that I've had. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Meredith. And make sure you check out the chat. Perry left you a comment there. All right. I think that's everyone in the meeting. So thank you all for chiming in. And we only have really like one slide left. But you all were very complimentary in everything you shared. I appreciate Megan also sharing a little bit of constructive feedback, but if you all have any other like constructive feedback to share about, things that you want to see within the organization or anything like that, I'll give you a second, or as much time as you want to mic up now. Or what I would say too is don't hesitate to stew on it a little bit and shoot me a DM or shoot me an email, so that I can make sure I'm taking in all your ideas and preferences into account. Any thoughts before we advance?
I do have one. I kind of did want to hit that.
Yeah,
Not that I'm negative Nancy.
that's all right.
I think I'm just overall, not us, not those of us that showed up and those of us that wanted to show up. But, and I won't go into what the APHPT has taught me, but people think I'm like really smart. And I learned everything I needed to know about Google Suite from
Mhm.
Allie and about the rest of the stuff from APHPT. And so I leverage it so much. Like when I do my little community talks at the library, the stipulation is I have to be a nonprofit if I want to use the library space. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm a nonprofit. And so my uh, s- self frustration, it's just all inside of me, not at anybody in this group, is the missed opportunities of others. Like people call me and ask me about wearable data. Why do I know so much? And I don't. Meredith was the one that came up with the brilliant standard deviation ranges. And we know it somewhere between 30% you're going to get sick if you're outside your norms. Like, I was just in the room when it happened. And so it's not necessarily negative as much as it is. And it takes a lot of effort, I realize, Aaron, because I've been behind the wheel before to keep the engagement up. But it is a complete and total missed opportunity that Megan, I actually think OTs would be more interested in at this point than PTs because y'all have that whole innovative side of your profession. So that's not necessarily a rant. It's not necessarily um, poor feedback. It's just a deep kind of sadness because I know what I've learned and I know what I've gained, and I know what my LinkedIn profile looks like, and how many connections I made just today from a Congressional Women's Health collaborative webinar, that it's just like serious missed opportunity.
Thank you, Perry. I'm glad you mic'd up. I hadn't seen you, but once I heard your voice, I realized that I hadn't heard from you yet, and I definitely don't want to miss your input. So thank you for that. And I agree. I feel like almost along the same lines of what Mark shared earlier. Like it's either like a lack of awareness or just um, not seeing. I don't know. Yeah, not seeing the opportunity or not seizing the opportunity, one or the other. And we'll continue to try to fight the good fight and see how we can make other people believe and make other people do. But thank you for all your efforts, Perry. You've been in the director role before, so I appreciate all that you bring to the APHPT community. With that said, let's get back into the PowerPoints. I should be sharing my screen again. All right. So moving forward, here is some of the updates our team has already decided upon that you all can be on the lookout for, and I will post updates as they happen. But APHPT is overdue for a website update. I'm pretty sure our website's still advertising Summer of Move 2024. So that's on my to-do list to update the website. And hopefully my vision for it is to try to organize it in a way that there's like a members only area where there's some helpful organization in terms of resources like archives and assets, like the courses and those sorts of things, where people don't necessarily have to figure out how to download Slack and get onto the app and be on their phone. Maybe they can just access it from either phone or desktop straight from the website in a bit more of a straightforward manner. I still would love to get them into Slack and get them engaging, because that's where we communicate and that's where we kind of stoke our fire. But maybe Slack will maybe that won't be the platform of choice in the future, but for the foreseeable future, it will be that's not necessarily an expected change quite yet. So the Slack community is still the place that we're going to continue to host our discussions and sharing of resources like that, just that TED Talk I came across yesterday after meeting a really inspiring person at a cafe. And that's always been one of my favorite parts of APHPT, is just like, staying up on the chat boards. And certainly it's been more engaging in the past with Workplace and when there were more members in the group. But I'm hopeful that, it's still very much a worthwhile place to keep going, because I value the stuff that you all share. And yeah, I want to have something where we can communicate with one another in kind of an open forum. So whether you're directly communicating with someone or whether you're just lurking, you can get some value from it. And then the biggest change that we're have for you all is that there will no longer be membership dues. We are just making it a one-time $10 fee to join APHPT, and you get lifetime access to the resources. That in some ways is not fair to all the efforts that you all have put in over the years and the dues that you have paid. But I do want to let you know that it's much appreciated, everything that you have contributed, both in terms of your efforts to the organization as well as your membership dues. Many of you are sweat equity members, so hopefully you haven't had to pay membership dues in a while, but our goal is to try to make our resources, make our community as accessible as possible. And charging a subscription fee, I felt like as a director, I wasn't delivering the value for that fee that made it work, made it make sense for people. So in this format, I'm hopeful that when we do community lectures, when we talk about it amongst our professional organizations, when we go to DPT schools, it's kind of a no-brainer to just pay $10 and see what's going on, rather than have to commit to some kind of recurring fee for it. And hopefully, if we can get some more people in, we'll get the right people in, and we'll stoke the flames and have the fire burn even hotter. So that's kind of the goal with that, is just increasing accessibility. If in the future there's a lot more time and resource to put into having consistent content and engagement experiences again, then maybe that changes if we feel like we're putting in a lot of value for people. But for the foreseeable future, we're going to make it just as accessible as possible. But that doesn't mean that we're no longer doing anything with APHPT. I'll still be putting out content, trying to encourage discussions within Slack, as well as making those website updates. And I encourage you all to still stay engaged within the APHPT community. If you want to lead a book jam, you want to host some kind of community initiative, you want to apply for a grant and you need APHPT's non-for-profit status, like Perry kind of talked about, let us know how we can help, and we're here for you, right? So that's kind of the last thing I have for you here, is just seriously from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you contribute to the community. Thank you for caring. Thank you for caring in a fundamentally different way, for believing in that mission, and above anything else, thank you for doing, right? there's a lot of people within the profession who talk about the problems and maybe talk about some solution, but there's very few that are actually willing to do. And all of you roll up your sleeves and do it. Oftentimes, without any direct benefit to you in terms of, monetary value. It's really just passion projects and for the love of the game, so to speak. So I have the utmost respect for all of you. And I hope that we just continue to keep going. And again, just let us know how we can help. And I'm optimistic about the future. Thanks to everyone like you. All right. So that being said, I'll stop sharing. Anyone is welcome to, share their closing remarks, but otherwise we can wrap up the meeting and yeah, we'll keep marching forward and I'll keep you guys posted as we make updates.
Hey, I just wanted to say it was great to see everybody. Awesome to see names and faces, and it's been a while. So thanks, Aaron, for getting us all on.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Aaron. Thank you, everybody.
Sorry, I'm just checking the chat real quick before we thanks, Allie. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Perry. Awesome, y'all. Well, yeah, maybe we should do these fireside chats more often. Maybe that's what something APHPT has been missing, is just a little FaceTime with people. I think that's why people love Book Jam so much, is we hop on a Zoom call and talk about what we're learning. So this is really great, everyone. Again, thank you so much. We'll let you hop off. I know it's late on the East Coast. It's time to get ready for bed. But yeah, thank you again, and we'll be in touch, okay?
Good night.
Cheers, everyone.
Night, everyone. Thanks, AP.
Thanks, Allie.